TiPS, Today in Public Safety, your go-to podcast for today's breaking stories in public safety news. Here's your host, Fletch, with today's TiPS.
An ESInet connection doesn't mean the migration is finished. In fact, in many cases, it means the most complicated part has just begun. Hey, it's Fletch, and welcome back to TiPS, Today in Public Safety. On Monday, we talked about the money behind NG911, and today we need to talk about what that money is actually supporting during the migration. There's a dangerous tendency to describe NG911 as if the carrier arrives, moves a cable, flips a switch, and the center is magically transformed to next generation 911. Yeah, that's not how a national emergency communications network completely changes while it remains in service. Even the FCC recognizes transitional NG911 as an architecture because the migration is going to take time. During that transition period, legacy selective routers, anti-alley databases, originating service providers, ESInets, and next-gen core services may all be involved in delivering a single emergency call. And that means that an ECC can be connected to a brand new ESInet and still depend on legacy components elsewhere in the call path. The center might be IP enabled without being fully end-to-end NG911. Now, I think that distinction matters because if leadership calls the project finished way too early, that agency may stop funding, testing, or governing the very systems that are still carrying the call. The gateways in the middle. During migration, or T911, known as Transitional 911, specialized gateways translate between the legacy and IP environments. They're part of the plan. You'll hear terms like Legacy Network Gateway, connecting the ESInet to a legacy network, Legacy Selective Router Gateway, connecting the ESInet to, guess what, a selective router, and an emergency services gateway. These names might sound technical, but the job is easy to understand. And we've been talking about this for years. They allow systems to build in different eras and continue exchanging emergency traffic. It's the same technology that got us from analog to VoIP in the enterprise space. Now, gateways are necessary, but every one of those translation points introduces another dependency. Who monitors it? Who owns it? What happens when location data doesn't match? And what organization is responsible when a call crosses from one network into another and then fails? That's why the FCC transitional framework uses two specific phases that's triggered by a valid request from a 911 authority, typically a state. So in simple terms, Phase 1 begins moving delivery to IP-based connectivity. And then Phase 2 advances that delivery of traffic and the associated routing information using NG911 capabilities or the SIP NINA I3 format. Now, the important word here is coordination. The 911 authority, the originating providers, NG911 service providers, as well as neighboring jurisdictions and operational centers all have work to do. And a contract with just one vendor can't replace a migration plan. Retiring the legacy network safely. So the objective here is not to operate those two networks forever. That'll cost a fortune. No, the objective is to keep emergency services reliable while that new environment proves that it can carry the mission. Just like any good project, retiring the legacy components means the authority needs evidence. Are all expected call types reaching the correct destination? What about geospatial routing? Has it been validated? Can calls and their associated data transfer across jurisdictional boundaries? And what about alternate and default routing? Has that been tested? Then the all-important cybersecurity, monitoring, and incident response. Is that active? And what about exercising failover under realistic operating conditions? Go yank the cable out of the back of that sucker. If it's designed right, you should barely see a blip. And just as important, the folks at the console need to be trained on what changes when something fails. A good migration plan needs to include a written exit criteria for every legacy dependency. If nobody can explain what's got to be true before a selective router, circuit, database, or gateway gets yanked, then that gear's got no retirement plan. just aspiration and hope. I get asked a lot what my takeaway is on this whole situation, and that explanation's pretty simple. Treat NG911 migration as an operational program, not an installation event. Make sure you map your complete call paths, document the ownership at every single handoff, be sure to test all your exceptions, and everybody needs to agree on the evidence required to retire each legacy element. Coming up Friday, we're going to answer the final question: when can an agency honestly say that NG911 is finished? That's the magic question. I'm Fletch, and this is TiPS, Today in Public Safety. We'll see you Friday at 8 a.m. right here on 911tips.com. Hey, it's Fletch. Thanks so much for joining me today. I really hope you learned something new. Please remember to like and subscribe so you'll be notified of all of our new episodes. TiPS publishes 3 times each week on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday mornings at 8 a.m. Eastern. You can also listen to or read my blogs and other long-form content at fletch.tv, and my professional website with all my contact information is at fletch911.com. Once again, thanks so much for spending some time with me, and if you're in public safety, as always, thanks for what you do every single day. We'll catch you later. Take care.
You've been listening to TiPS, Today in Public Safety, your go-to podcast for today's breaking stories and public safety news. Hosted by Fletch and available every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Catch past episodes on 911tips.com. I am Spider Harrison, the official 911 voiceover dude. No small animals were harmed in the making of this podcast. However, it may contain peanuts, or peanuts may have been used in its production. This content is void where prohibited or expressly forbidden by law. And by the way, I said peanuts.